sick too?
Lead us out.
Sure you gonna get sick. I heard.
Good to see you, sir.
Yes, sir, you too.
No.
I probably need to do the same thing.
How you doing, man?
All right.
Good to see you. Yep.
Okay.
Because Gwen's here.
No, I don't have anything.
Steve wants us to first reading of the court's money. Stephanie says I don't think we're ready for that. So we gotta have to play this a little.
We gonna table?
That's what I think.
Okay.
Anything the county attorney wants.
It's chair.
He has a whole minute.
5, 4, 3, 2. You're up, sir.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Spalding Board of Commissioners October 6th workshop. I would ask that you please silence your cell phones and all other electronic devices.
She's here.
Where'd she go? I would ask Commissioner Gwen Flowers-Taylor to lead us in the invocation and Commissioner Ryan Bolden to, from District 4 to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
If you would join me, please. Father God, we come to you this afternoon in absolute gratitude for the wonderful life that you've given us, for fresh air, clean places and safe places to stay, family to love us, and a community to stay in that is thriving. We ask you to be in this room today as we try to become more informed on the business that is at hand on the agenda, and allow us to be able to ask the right questions so that the decisions that we make are fair, just, and equitable. These things, Lord, we ask in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
If you would, please join me in pledge allegiance to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. As a reminder, this is a workshop. Specifically, this is an opportunity for the staff and commissioners to talk among themselves on a specific issue. A number of issues that we take at the workshop will be voted on at the 6 o'clock meeting. Agenda items: discussion of contract with Piedmont Paving Incorporated for construction of NIODIC projects and volunteer and Ambucks Park. I recognize Grant Manager Larry Wallace for this discussion. And TJ Imber.
I'll be glad to sit back then. But I don't think I'm going to be able to.
Good afternoon, Chair Davis, Board of Commissioners, Dr. Ledbetter. Here this afternoon, request your approval of a contract with Piedmont Paving for the Improving Neighborhoods Grant. Spalding County Parks and Rec was awarded multiple grants through the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget for facility improvements at Ambucks and Volunteer Park. Due to significant cost escalations in construction materials and labor since the original grant application, we had to submit scope change requests, and those were approved by the state of Georgia. And so just as a refresher, we were awarded 5 grants totaling $9.35 million, and there you can see the individual awards for each park and what they were for. These are all for upgrades to Ambucks and volunteer parks. The construction bid is $8,835,000 and was awarded to Piedmont Paving. So the improvements at Volunteer Park, brand new concessions building, 2 regulation length football fields, an updated practice area, irrigation for the football and softball fields, reconditioned infields, new lighting, and improved pedestrian accessibility throughout. The Ambucks renovations, renovating the building, the gym building, including exterior and first floor updates, extension of Field 3 with a higher fence for increased playability, reconditioned infields, irrigation for baseball fields, new lighting, and improved pedestrian accessibility throughout. Additionally, there are improvements for the Ambucks gym. It requires a new wood basketball flooring that will not be within this contract, but new roof and siding with insulation. The lobby area will be renovated. A custom serving kitchen to maximize space and use for the food program in the summer. One small lockable office, a reception desk, open with sight lines for both entry area and the basketball court, and then a remodel of storage areas for maximum space. I do want to just mention that all of the projects are funded through the Georgia Governor's Office of Planning and Budget. We are essentially 1 year out from the deadline for having construction completed on this project. And so that's through no one's fault, but because of the cost increases and us having to go back and forth, we have not been able to start construction on this project. And so essentially, any additional delays will probably lead to us not being able to complete that construction before October of next year.
Right,
And
so
so staff
currently-
will actually recommend that we award this contract to Piedmont Paving in the amount of $8,835,000. And I'll have Mr. Emberger and also representatives from LJA to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, so currently, if we approve tonight, we'll be able to make the timelines.
Yes,
Okay.
we anticipate we will, construction, or at least demolition, starting within the next 30 days. And then we anticipate we'll be able to complete construction by the end of October next year.
We're gonna vote on this tonight, so any questions before we get there?
Did we talk about our matches?
One more slide.
Okay.
There is a required match for the project, and this is not a new piece, but also just a piece wanted to bring to your attention. And so the required match for the total project is $509,000, with each grant having a different percentage. And so those are additional, that's additional money beyond the 9.3 million that was approved for the grant. So the county is required to put in those individual amounts per grant
Okay, and
as a condition of receiving the money.
county
from the
manager,
state.
we're square on this budgeted for?
We understand that the match was a requirement to receive the $8.835 million from the state. We did not budget this. We do have those funds available through our fund balance. And if you remember, we are utilizing an investment fund with our fund balance. So we are receiving interest from that investment fund, which will pay for approximately half of that match. So it would only require the county contribute roughly $250,000 of non-interest funds to achieve that match fund. Do we have it? Yes, we do have it available.
Okay, and your recommendation is?
Our recommendation is to accept this $8.835 million for the upgrades for both of these parks. They are much needed, and to move forward with the staff's recommendation of approval of the contract so that we can move forward with construction.
Okay. Ms. Quinn?
$500,000 to get $8 million. No brainer.
Okay, all right. Any other questions before voting tonight? Okay. Thank you, Larry. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I'll
Next
be up here
is
for a minute.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. They're on the next one.
discussion of strategic scoping for funding readiness. Dr. Ledbetter?
So we've been asked by several members of our commission board to place this item on the agenda this evening. Larry and our staff have just been knocking grants out of the park to bring money back into our community, as was very evident in the last discussion that we just had with the $8.835 million. But there are grants that are available for us that we are missing, and we're missing the opportunity because these grants are presenting themselves very fast, with very limited deadlines for completing the application process. And Larry and I have had several conversations. He brought a few of them to us just over he brought quite a few of them over to us just over the last couple of months, where we were not in a position where we had shovel-ready projects ready to pull the trigger on. So TJ, Larry, and I, and Miss Erica have sat down and we've had discussions about what projects could we put in play that we could do a preliminary design, not a full-blown engineering design, but a preliminary design that would prepare us to make application for these shovel-ready projects. As you may know, the federal government is shut down, but I would dare venture that as soon as they come back into session and they either approve a continuing resolution or they approve a budget, whichever direction they choose to go, the budget will include grant opportunities that will have an even shorter amount of time for application process. And staff would like to hear your direction and engage with the board to really highlight some shovel-ready projects that we could go ahead and finalize a preliminary design so that they would be ready for us to put in front of Larry, and as these grants become available, that we could make application and move them forward. I would dare venture we're missing millions upon millions of dollars in grant funding because we do not have that available. And the gentleman that you have standing in front of you as our grant writer is just doing a fabulous job at preparing us for these grants and putting us in position to get that money. And I think now is the time that we could make a small investment of funding to get us shovel-ready projects in play.
Okay. Ideas for shovel-ready? That's a real question you're looking for.
So there's always shovel ready. I mean, there's always stuff that we need to have ready. And I can assure you that I have been here, I think it was in '09 or '10, after the last bubble broke. And then directly after there was all kinds of money that was available, but we didn't have a single plan. And the city of Griffin did, and they got lots and lots of street projects and other things done. But we didn't even have anything written on paper. With the number of transportation needs that we have here, we should have some of those plans already ready to go. And transportation is just one avenue. You know, this is the kind of stuff that when you have your master plan, your dream list, that you've already done the pre-work. Because no, we don't think that we're going to get money all the time, but when and if it does come, I don't want us to be sitting on the backside saying we don't have any engineering stuff. We don't have any even a drawing or an estimate of what would be required. So I think that if our goal is to try to utilize as much grant money as Larry can try to make available to us, then we should also be very prepared to do the homework on the front side. In terms of the transportation plans, and I don't know that anybody has done anything with this, but just as an example, over the first 3 years, we outperformed what we thought we were going to do in transportation. And so there is literally excess collection funds there. So, you know, there could be the opportunity there for plans out of that transportation money related to whatever we're talking up next. So he shouldn't have to go looking for a grant and then try to figure out how am I going to come and beg them for this 5% match, or do I think they're going to give me that? Because he's demonstrated to us that he has the capability to get money, but he's also telling us that there's an obstacle, that a wall that is up, that is keeping him from getting more money. So not sure how we'll figure out on the funding for that, but as we look into our budget for next year, I think that needs to be, not sure whether it will go on to Public Works if it were for those kinds of projects, but we need to keep that in mind, that we've invested in having him here. He's shown us what we've been missing. Then we need to try to, you know, we never should leave free money on the table. Never.
I mean, all right, does anybody have, my thought is let's to ask the staff to come back to us and say, here are some shovel-ready that we think we would like to start getting ready for. Let them come back and look at us and say, but if we have some guidance to give to them, meaning we want you to look at X, Y, Z specifically, this is the time, or over the next little while should be the time, but can you come back to us in the next 60 days or so and say, here's shovel-ready, what
I
we
mean,
would think should be shovel-ready?
Bridges,
Trail connections,
intersections,
yeah, anything transportation.
roundabouts, sidewalks,
Par-
walking
parkways.
trails. I mean, yes,
Animal shelter stuff, you know, we,
totally, yeah, because I think if we just now try to get on the front side of this, it'll save this whole step that we're doing now.
And it'll afford us the opportunity as well to engage with our 3 engineering firms that we have designated and put together just preliminary plans for what that could look like, so that we can put Larry in a position where he can make application. He's got all the information that he needs. He can just drop that information directly into the application and send it. And we have a much better opportunity at getting that money when we are available to put those plans into play.
all right, 60 days, back to us.
Or
That
sooner.
okay with you
I
all?
think Larry's got one more thing for us.
If I could, I do want to give just an example of what we're talking about. And so, end of August, Dr. Ledbetter brought a grant to me. I've been aware of it. It's the Rural and Tribal Assistance Project, federal government, Department of Transportation. And it's an example of what Dr. Ledbetter means when they're shortening the timeline. The timeline for submitting this grant was 2 weeks. And so my response to him was, do you have a project?
No.
And I mean, that was the short answer, but it was like, okay, so I need a project. This is a planning grant. So this was a grant to do what we're talking about doing now, but even then, a project wasn't identified. So we kind of made one up on the spot.
We did.
Basically, we know that we've been approved for a new airport. At some point, there's going to have to be access to get to that
Right.
airport. Roads are going to have to be reconfigured. And I, for lack of a better word, made up a project. It sounds really good. And we submitted the application. We got an estimate from Croy about design, feasibility studies, engineering, and we submitted it. It was another way the federal government is changing. This grant was first come, first serve. It opened on the 8th. I submitted on the 9th. As of the 16th of September, they had more grant applications than they had money. And so my idea was to submit on the 8th because, as you can see, if I'm a week late, we're not even in contention. And so that is an example of having to be ready. Now, this is different. Before, they give you 2 or 3 months, and you can come up with something, you can work something out. That's not the case anymore. And so I'll point to another example that we'll discuss probably in 2 agenda items. There was a LMIG grant, and in TJ's shop, they had been working on something, had an idea for something. Grant came up. We had about 2 weeks to finalize it. I had enough of an idea of what they wanted to do to be able to put the grant together. We were awarded. And so even myself, I looked through the comprehensive transportation plan last year when I first arrived here. Lots of ideas for projects. Mm-hmm. There was nothing that I could use to write. You know, if you want to put in sidewalks somewhere, that's awesome. I need a certain number of feet of sidewalks. Where is it going from? Where is it going to? I need more than just, we're going to work on this. And so there are several other examples I can give about grants that were put out there, but that's the general idea. Is like, I need more than just, you know, we want to work on this intersection. An idea, yes, absolutely.
Okay, we agree. Okay, and thank you for coming forth and telling us that issue so that we can start to work on it our side. All right, item number 3, Juvenile Justice Incentive Grant Contract Revisions. I'd like to recognize once again our great grant writer, manager, Larry Wallace, for the discussion by professional service contract for One Flesh Monitoring to be paid for by Juvenile Court Grant.
Thank you, Chair Davis, Commissioners, Dr. Ledbetter. We brought this item at the beginning of September, and then we actually had a change to the actual contract and thought it was best to bring it back before you. It wasn't a material change. It didn't change the amount of the grant. It didn't change anything we were paying. There were two items. The first was the amount of insurance that we were requiring the group to have, and so we changed it. We removed professional liability and automobile liability coverage and just retained the general liability at 1 million per occurrence and workers' compensation as required by law. And the other thing that we removed completely was a copyright provision. The materials that we are using are essentially copywritten by a particular group, so that was irrelevant to the contract. And at the request of Mr. Johnson, we went ahead and modified those two items. And so, other than that, we changed the start date because without a signed contract, we weren't moving forward. And so, those are the only things that were changed in this contract.
Questions on this?
So the print, there's print in here that is bold, and then there's other, like, looked like on the worksheet, it was something about what shall not be paid in advance, and why was that highlighted?
It should not have been. That wasn't a change
Okay.
in the contract. That was
Okay, that
part
just
of
might
the
have
original.
been, it was in bold in the print. Okay, I didn't see anything else. I was trying to look for what could have been different than what we approved, but,
Right, there are no material changes. It doesn't change the amount, the work that they're doing. It's just a matter of, Mr. Johnson had a preference and some clarity. And so we removed the copyright provisions and then updated the insurance part.
if y'all don't mind, I'll ask one more question. So are they not transporting kids?
No.
Okay, because I felt like they were at first, and so that was why we had that
They
pretty.
may have been at some point, but when we're going to a formal contract and we're operating a grant through the state, if we're gonna transport kids, we're gonna do it through an authorized transportation provider as
Okay,
opposed
all
to
right.
just,
Personal transportation,
Yes,
private owned
absolutely.
vehicle. Okay, that's all I got,
And
Mr.
he
Chairman.
does in his other work, but I discussed that with him as well, and he said that there would be absolutely no
For the
circumstance.
kids that are in this
Yes,
program through
that
the
he
court
would be
system.
transporting
Yeah,
those
I
children.
just wanted to make sure that, because I thought that was kind of how it worked. Okay.
All right.
I'm fine with that.
Anything else? Vote on this tonight. All right. Item number 4, local maintenance and improvement grant, LMIG award for East McIntosh Road improvement. Director Imberger. And Larry, you can continue to stay here.
yes.
Money man's first.
Once again, thank you, Chair Davis, members of the board, Dr. Ledbetter. We're here to request approval and acceptance of a FY25 local maintenance and improvement grant, safety action plan grant for East McIntosh Road improvement. The Georgia DOT has approved county's application for additional LMIG funding. GDOT has committed $319,200 towards this project. It does require a 30% local match from Spalding County. The project focuses on critical safety improvements along East McIntosh Road, spanning approximately 5.1 miles from 155 to Lakeview Street. This corridor has been identified as having significant safety concerns, including limited visibility, narrow shoulders, multiple curves, a documented history of runoff road and angle-type crashes, and numerous intersections requiring enhanced safety measures. The proposed safety improvements include reflective and flashing stop signs at intersections, raised pavement markers to supplement lane markings, enhanced curved warning signage, selective shoulder widening in critical areas, installation of rectangular rapid flashing beacons, guardrail improvements where needed, and also rumble strips in designated locations. The total project budget that we submitted was $415,000. GDOT is funding again $319,200. There's a required match of 30%, and so this will definitely benefit the county, and it is our recommendation that you approve and accept the award from the Georgia Department of Transportation.
Funding?
Yes, this is actually funded through our road funds.
Road improvement.
Line item.
That is
Line item
correct.
number.
It is a line item, but this affords us the opportunity to have $319,000 provided to us by the Department of Transportation. So great job to both Larry and TJ for looking out for us on these funds.
So this is coming out of Public Works.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now that we already know that, how much extra shoulder can we get? Because in the entirety of McIntosh Road, there's no line that says you're off the road. That's the first thing. And then if you go past wherever there is a line, you're already on the ground. So how is this?
Yes,
how-
ma'am.
how
What
will
we
it-
did was measure the areas exactly what you're speaking of, where there is no shoulder. If you were dropping off of the white line, you would actually drop off. So we would be adding 2 to 3 feet of pavement and then rumble strips to those areas.
So the rumble strips will be lateral, not horizontal.
It'll be, right, you'll have the white line and then the rumble strips. will-
Okay, so that's to let
Right.
you know you're gonna go off.
Yes, so that you know that you are off and would have to get back into the driving lane.
Okay, so nothing, what are we gonna do about the sight distance places? I forget the name of the church, but it's Reverend Garland's church. There's, kinda like about middle ways from, the intersection of Hill, where the voting precinct is. Right before you get out there, there's a hill and a curve at the same time. So the sight distance for those houses pulling out, those people pulling out to the road from there is just almost nothing. So, I mean, I know I haven't seen the whole thing, but I hope this is the kind of stuff that we are going to address, because we have the same problem on, Teeman.
Yes, ma'am. Our public works engineer will study each of those curves individually and come up with a new signage plan and a road pavement marking plan, just as we did on High Falls Road. So it'll be very similar to that as far as the curves. The entire roadway will get new signage. The four-way stop at Second Street and East McIntosh will be added. So the entire road will also get new lining. So we'll use our thermoplast.
You don't have enough money for a roundabout at Second Street and, McIntosh?
No, ma'am. That's Larry was about $2.5 million short on that one.
Okay. Just kidding.
Okay. Any other questions on Lemig before we vote tonight? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good job, guys.
Regional Griffin Spalding Airport land acquisition update and funding. I'd like to recognize Madison Teague with Croy Engineering for this discussion.
Yes,
Welcome
sir.
back, Madison.
Thank you. Thank y'all for this opportunity to kind of discuss some of our land acquisition updates with you guys. We've had some very eager property owners that have gone ahead through our negotiation process and have settled to a dollar amount with us. You can see highlighted in green up on the screen is everything that the airport authority owns to date. Everything in blue are the property owners that have agreed to a value, and so we have 5 properties that have settled with us. That includes 2 relocation, an additional 3 fee simple for just land. So we are acquiring a total of 102 acres, and so what we are asking is that Spalding County and the city of Griffin help us get to a reimbursement. So this is a reimbursable project through GDOT. GDOT will, once the airport authority has the title transferred over to them, reimburse the cost of this land acquisition at 95%. The total of these parcels is $2,200,000, and that is tax, tag, title, and closing fees included. We basically need to allow Stephanie to get to the point where she can reach out to these property owners and proceed forward with closing. We are anticipating a 90-day turnaround from GDOT to be reimbursed. So we are asking the city and the county to be able to allocate these funds for that reimbursement period, and then have that for that holding period to have that reimbursement returned to them. Any questions right away?
Yes, because you want to get jumped on. I know you're not asking for money.
So,
Are you ready?
2.2 million is what is being asked of the city of Griffin and Spalding County. The city of Griffin has agreed to half of the cost. Again, this is 95% reimbursable through GDOT.
All right, so let me make sure I understand what this is, what we're saying here. This saying you all need, $2 million, a million from each of us, to, complete the rest of the buying of the land.
Not the
So-
rest, the
No.
ones that we have reached agreements upon.
Yeah, excuse me, yes. And then, submit, then when you get the rest of it, whole title,
Once, yes, as soon as these, closings are held and the deeds have been signed and recorded, which we're hoping will be before the end of this month, then, all the documentation will be submitted to GDOT for reimbursement. So we're expecting about a 60-day
I'm gonna
maybe
say 90
90
just because of the holidays, and that's
To-
my
to
logic.
be reimbursed for
All
the
right,
city
so-
and the county to get their money back. Save the 5% match, so 2.5% from the county would be required anyway, 2.5% from the city.
If you remember, Greg Teague came before this board back in the summer and indicated that the city and the county would need to front the money in order to make the land acquisition purchases. We're at that time. They are asking for us to front that money for the acquisition of the properties. We will get 95% of those funds back within 90 days, and then we will be ready for tranche number 2, which will happen in about 90 days, where the airport authority will come back and ask for roughly the same amount of money again for us to make the land acquisition for the next phase of the property. So this is rolling money for the airport authority over the next 6 months.
all right, now tell me how much what's the percentage again? How much money?
We will
So,
be responsible for 1.1 million,
yes, sir.
And we lose how much of it?
5%.
And how
5%?
much is that in dollars and pennies?
Yeah,
So 95% of, or sorry, 5% of 2,200,000 is $110,000. So that's the
And that's
total
really
amount.
half of that.
And then so
55.
60 grand.
60 grand to do this, and then we do it again in another 90 days
That's
for
correct.
another 60 grand. So a total of $120.
That's correct.
120,000.
$120,000,
So,
yeah.
so, this is my problem with that. I'm not saying I'm not gonna vote for it, but this is my problem with that. Because I saw in the newspaper where the airport authority had been awarded XYZ money from the state. Didn't they get millions of dollars?
They did, yes, ma'am.
So how come they can't use that to pay for their land?
We don't have it, GDOT has it, and that is part of what will be used for this. Actually, I think this may be federal money though, is that?
this will be federal money,
So we
yes.
did receive, an earmark for about 8 million from the federal government, and that is what GDOT has determined will be used for property acquisition. So we're at the mercy of their determinations and their reimbursement schedules. So nobody gave the airport $48 million to go ahead and put in their account. It's being held by the
Those
state.
of us who read the Griffin Daily News, where am I do that? That's what we understood, is that y'all had got some money. So that's why I'm asking, why are y'all asking us for money when you're supposed to have lots of money? Not, a bunch more than that. Okay, so my other concern is that if we're talking about the money that you're asking for in the first tranche is just for the blue, what's gonna happen on the other end? You got to have that other end in order to have
That's
the
the
airport.
that's the second tranche that we will be
Yes.
asked for in about 90 days.
But they
Hopefully.
already know that that's gonna be $1 million?
So it's approximately 2 million instead of 2,200,000.
We have appraisals for all of the properties.
Yes, ma'am.
This, although this is the swallowing time for us, this is exactly what Greg King said to us. If you remember, we're gonna have to have this much money, we'll fund it back, but you're gonna end up paying.
See, I thought we weren't gonna have to pay after they got awarded money.
No, we are still having to front this fund for the acquisition of property. This $8 million that is coming from the federal government has a lot of strings attached to it, and we have to fund the money before they will reimburse us.
All right,
That's what you decided for them to come to us and ask us. Okay, you can go ahead.
all right, now, so remember, we've got two people on our board who,
I'm just looking over here. Because
Okay,
these the ones who don't wanna spend no money.
thank you. All right.
Yeah.
So we all understand what the issue is. 60, we're gonna take money out of our account, give it to them, then we're gonna get money back minus $60,000. And then in 90 days, we're gonna take money out, get money back minus $60,000, order of magnitude again.
If I could get property owners to accept an IOU and let me record a warranty deed, I promise you I would do that.
All right,
I'm just giving me some little political stuff to work on right here, cause boy, we just be picking stuff that we wanna spend money on.
and it keeps going. Yes, all right. Any other questions for Madison?
No, I think she wasn't finished. I interrupted
No,
her
no,
and
no,
her
no, no,
stuff.
no,
Yeah.
you are just fine, ma'am. So, Dr. Ledbetter was able to go over that last portion, which is here in 90 days, we will be coming
Okay.
back for that additional fund. So that is it. So I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear.
Madison, we like it when you come like Larry, bringing us money.
Madison came to us all the way from the other side of Atlanta. Will we need her at the 6 o'clock this evening?
I don't need her. Anybody? No, Madison, you can, thank you for coming and
No, thank y'all so
explaining it
much.
to us.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye, dear.
Item number 6, discussion of the grand jury resolution recommending court bailiffs compensation increase. At this time, I'd like to ask and recognize Judge Josh Thacker from the state court judge to lead us in the discussion.
All right. Hey, y'all.
Hey,
So I'm
welcome
not
back.
here in my capacity as state court judge today. Judge Ballard is technically the bailiff's supervisor, but he was unavailable, so he reached out to me yesterday afternoon and asked me to present, because he knew I was very familiar with this. It's no secret this has been a passion project of mine, so I said that was fine. So I'm just letting you know that they're officially in Superior Court. So who are the bailiffs and what do they do? Because obviously y'all are not in court with us. Y'all each have a very boring and informative handout up there that I will go over with you briefly in a very boring and informative moment. So, who are the bailiffs and what do they do? So obviously we have several of the bailiffs here. Several of the bailiffs are not here because they're across the street in the courtrooms doing court. So the bailiffs, so you ask what a bailiff is, and a bailiff for each court is almost kind of whatever you can imagine. The rules that create the bailiffs are a little bit vague. For example, what creates the who gets to hire them reads that the sheriff has the right to select them, but then the judge has the right to appoint them. What does select and appoint mean? I don't really know. So several years ago, I went to Barbara Purifoy, the then chief bailiff, and said, hey, I'm confused. Who's your boss? And she said, I don't have one. And I said, that doesn't sound right. Everybody has a boss. Mine's the voters, and I'm several folks' bosses. And she goes, no. She goes, we get support from the Superior Court, we get support from the sheriff, we get support from the county, but we don't answer. And I said, well, when you retire, who's going to pick your successor? And she goes, I don't know. I don't have one. So I said, well, we need to fix that. We need to put them in the org chart. So I called HR and said, hey, how are the bailiffs paid? And they said, we don't pay them. And I said, what do you mean you don't pay them? You're HR. You pay everybody. And they said, no, they're paid by the clerk of court. So then I started looking into that and realized that we were the only county in the state of Georgia where our clerk of court was the HR provider for our bailiffs. And then I started thinking, this is a mess and it needs to be cleaned up. So that's what we started doing. So the first thing I did was communicate with then Chief Superior Court Judge Fletcher Sams and Sheriff Dix and said, look, there's this murky statute. It's 15-635 that says the sheriff can select them, but the Chief Superior Court Judge gets to appoint them. We don't know what that means. Can we agree what we want it to be? And they talked, I was at the meeting, it was the three of us, and the sheriff said, and then Fletcher Sam said, I'll take them. Because they're in the courthouse all day, they will be ours. Will you provide support and assistance? And Sheriff Dix said, great. So we had the first box checked. They are officially part of Superior Court as of that moment, and then we've been very slowly moving them over.
So who decided in the first place? I mean, wasn't the legislature who decided that?
So the legislature created that statute. I can't tell you how we got to here. I'm trying to answer that question, Commissioner.
Because I'm just saying, if the legislature created the statute, how do we have the authority, or how do y'all have the authority to change it? That's
So-
what, and if you don't really know that the legislature did it, wouldn't you be concerned about changing it just cause y'all said y'all wanted to?
So this was our effort to follow the statute, not change the statute, because so statutes often have cases that are attached to them that tell us, what does this mean? What does select mean versus appoint? And there's no cases that interpret this to tell us how to read this. And so this is a great question, and that our goal was not to change it, but to figure out how to follow it. And so we let those two decide who selects and who appoints. And basically the chief superior court judge chooses them with the blessing and permission of the sheriff. So it's not a good system. If they wanted a better system, they should create a better statute that clearly says they are somebody's responsibility or somebody else's responsibility, but
So
that's
saith
not
the judge.
that's not anything I have the bandwidth to fight or do in Atlanta.
So whose budget do they come under?
2150, but that's new. Before, they were a little bit in the sheriff, they were a little bit in the state court, they were a little bit in the superior court, and they were a little bit somewhere else that I forgot. But
But that's been in the very recent.
very recent,
very
like
recent.
not even
So who's
finished moving them to
2150?
2150
State
recent.
court.
So, because some of their debt, because they come to the state, now they do all 5 courts. That's also part of it. So, so they do superior court, state court, probate court, magistrate court, and the juvenile court. So,
And your ordinance actually has a provision for bailiffs under the state court, but not under the superior court.
yes,
Did he give us a copy of our ordinance?
No, we'll be talking about that later.
yeah. So in a nutshell, who are they and what do they do, and why are they so important? So the bailiffs are the non-law enforcement organizational monsters of the court. They move. Their job is to keep everybody moving in the direction they're going to move. It's no secret we move thousands of people through the state court every single year, and we have several bailiffs there, and they're always on the move. I'd love to see their step count. There's no sitting. They're always moving folks from one spot to another. And their jobs are so important. Let me tell you a couple things that can happen very quickly if they're not paying attention. Number one, if you don't swear your bailiffs in each term, then any case that is tried in that term is reversed. This is how important they are to the operations of the court, because they know that the bailiffs will be interacting with the jurors because they're the jurors' primary point of contact during a trial. And so if you have bailiffs who don't know what they're doing or who tell jurors information they shouldn't be telling them, that'll get a trial reversed. And so not giving them their oath, that will get a case reversed. If you also have a case here where nope, that's that one too. The next one would be under if a bailiff talks to a juror and tells the jury information that they're not supposed to tell them, that will also get you reversed. If the bailiffs do not handle the grand jury what comes out of the grand jury, remember that's the folks who meet in the basement and they're the gatekeepers for what goes to trial. Nothing can go, no felonies, I'm overstating it. Most felonies, the serious ones, have to go before a grand jury before they can go to trial. The grand jury is the gatekeeper. And if the bailiffs don't handle that right, every case that was presented to the grand jury is no good and has to be done again. So I'm just saying, I just cannot stress to you how important the bailiffs are to the operations of all of the courts as we go. So that's where they are. How do other counties do it? The answer is there are 159 counties and there's 160 ways to structure your bailiffs. So the bailiffs can be full-time law enforcement officers. If you really wanted to do that, they could be full-time individuals. We here have a great system that I love, which is we have mostly folks who have retired from other careers who do not want to go home and sit down and who don't mind walking around and being part of our team. And so mostly we have retired military, law enforcement, and other career individuals who come and help us out. Obviously that lets us have very high quality bailiffs that I am very, very pleased with. And I'm not saying that because they're staring at the back of my head. So how are they compensated? Because I texted all of you all yesterday as soon as I got asked and said, send me your questions and I'll get you the answers. So you're going to get your money answers from Dwayne, who retired as a major from the sheriff's office, came over here and is now the numbers guy at the bailiffs. But the answer to your question is the grand jury controls the bailiff's pay with the county's blessing. Let me do that again. Remember, the superior court judge appoints the jurors with the sheriff's blessing. it's the same setup. The grand jury does not tell you all what to do, but each fall, the grand jury can say the pay should be the same as it is, less, more, whatever. So they have, the grand jury, the fall grand jury's recommended this change, and I believe it's the first change in 12 years?
At least 12.
Okay, so, and he'll give you all those numbers, but, so that's where I fit in all this. I fit in all this because they were a free radical throughout our system, which bothered me greatly, and I wanted some organization to it. I couldn't help it. And so that's how we got to here, is they needed a department, they needed a supervisor, and they needed, someone that could do, and obviously they do things like hospitality. All the jurors come in, they get a cup of coffee because the bailiffs have all the stuff there. That's the little bitty things that are really important that they do. But but how we ended up there is that we're still working on the HR side of things, because Spalding County, as you all know, is set up to pay people hourly, but by law, you can only pay the bailiffs day rates, per diem. And so we've been working with them because they're having to create a whole new module to move the bailiffs from the clerk over, and we're still not there, but I know they're working on it diligently. You're not hearing anything from us other than thank you to Miles and his team for doing the best they can. So does that help you get from how we got, where we started to how we got to here without me doing the numbers? Because nobody wants me doing numbers.
Are they full-time or part-time employees?
All of them are part-time. There's no full-time bailiffs. Because that's the thing. Once you go to full-time, obviously, y'all know that you got to add, retirement, benefits and all that, and they don't get any of those, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So how many days do they usually have to do court or whatever it is that they're doing?
So we're spread all around. So there's 5 courts. So we have court almost every day. And so we have bailiffs in the courtroom every day with us. Superior Court has 5 Superior Court judges. They qualify for 6. So they've got court every day, which has at least 2 bailiffs coming through. Juvenile Court always has 2 bailiffs going on. Magistrate Court, y'all doing 1 or 2? One in Magistrate Court, and then probate is just 1 when they're there.
2 in magistrate.
2 in magistrate, okay.
I stand correct.
That's right, 2 in magistrate. And so you asked me how much, and the answer is, I don't know all of their full schedules off the top of my head, but I know all of us are in court all the time, and the bailiffs are always floating around the building. So with, and there's about 15 or 16, they'll give you all that, and they're usually spread out between all the different courts. What else you got?
All right, let's talk.
How many women you got that are bailiffs?
Margaret?
Margaret.
We need,
We have 1 female, correct, Margaret?
And 15 other
yeah,
sex people.
that part, that part could use some adjustments. So,
It's a matter of having anyone that's expressed an interest in that as well. Am I correct in that, Morris? We really haven't had that many females that I'm aware of, any females other than Margaret.
yeah, and Margaret's officially our baby holder, by the way, in state court, because folks come to state court a lot and they bring their babies with them.
She is the baby whisperer.
And she takes babies out and they never cry, and Margaret does a wonderful job, and I'd love to have 5 more Margarets. She also does a great job with juries, so I don't know if that skill with babies and juries crosses over, but she does a great job with both. So, but yes, I agree. There's a statistical issue there that needs to be corrected.
And I don't think that in any way we're opposed to any female bailiffs. It's a matter of we haven't had any expressed interest in coming to work. So it's not like we're receiving applications and our chief bailiff, Morris Pike, is rejecting those. Margaret's the only one that I'm familiar with my time there that has even expressed an interest. And of course, she was hired, obviously. But so it's not like that we're just arbitrarily saying, no, we only want this particular, we only want male bailiffs. That's not true. It's, I'm sure with time, if we had, if the court bailiffs has to grow, and our court is growing, obviously, we're adding another state court judge next year, and as Judge Thacker said, there's 5 Superior Court judges, but they're approved for 6, so potentially that court could grow as well.
Let me ask you this, so how does one apply for that job?
Well, Morris, would you like to address that as far as how does one apply?
Because you
No, they
said you
get
don't
routed
have to
through
be
our
a
chief
law
bailiff.
enforcement agent, right? Because how would anybody know that there was a job open? It's kind of
Well,
like,
before, when they weren't anywhere, the answer was, that's correct. Again, once we get them in, then they start moving through the regular habits and patterns of the posting and hiring of positions. But again, we're still working on just getting them into the location, but your concerns are entirely appropriate. Of how do you find out what's there and how do they know?
Whenever we have an opening, we tell them to go to resources, fill out the short application instead of a law enforcement application. Once it's filled out, it's turned over to us. I assigned one of our guys to do a background investigation, look at the application itself, do a criminal background, talk to references, and see how it turns out.
So, but how does somebody know that there's a job open? That's what I'm trying to get at.
There's really
Is
haven't
it
been that
posted
many
anywhere?
openings.
There's not a posting
There's no
place because there's not a
posting.
department to attach it. Like all the regular ways we do this, never.
I get
But
all
there-
that,
there-
but
there's-
do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
If it is a job that's available, you may wonder why there are no women or other persons of color applying because nobody knows where to apply, or even that there's a job available.
And it's not just law enforcement. We have a fairly large mixture of civilian staff as well that do not have a law enforcement background. So it's not like all 15 bailiffs have a law enforcement
Right,
background.
see, I didn't know that
Yes,
just
ma'am.
until today.
It's
My
not-
assumption
it's
was
not
that you had to
required.
be law enforcement.
It's not
So,
required.
yeah, I would love it if y'all were able to get that together. So,
Yes,
my
ma'am.
other question, Dwayne, is what did, and I know you said the recommendation comes from the grand jury.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you guys come up with this? Did you look at other counties that are our size based on population? Did you look at other counties that have a certain number of court cases? What was the pay before, and how did you get to the place to where you
Well,
felt like that number was appropriate?
It's been set at the same rate, per diem rate now, in excess of 12 years. We know that for sure. We don't know how far back. What we tried to look at is if approved, our pay rate would be comparable to like Henry County. We can't compare to like Butts County or Lamar County or Pike. They don't have the volume of the court that we have. We have a huge court. And to ask you how many days, I wish I could say, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, it's 2,080 hours. I may get scheduled for 15 days to work on a month for court, and might only work 5. And that comes about, pleas are taken, cases are dismissed, cases are continued. So there's really no definitive way to say that they're receiving X amount X amount of days per month. It just varies. And it varies by court. State court may be busier one month than the next. So there's no like set amount that we're doing X amount of days per month.
But
I
the
wish I could give you that.
But the reason I'm
I can
asking
help a little
that,
bit with that.
okay, the reason I'm asking you that, Dwayne, is
Yes, ma'am.
that what we realize is that all of our pay scales were much lower
Yes,
than
ma'am.
what the market rate is.
Yes, ma'am.
And after we did the overall pay maintenance, we realized we hadn't dealt with part-time workers.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I know we did something with leisure services, and we may have done something with public works if they had them. But you guys are totally off the radar. So
Right.
that's why I'm trying to get at, do you have a number that says that this is appropriate for the size court that you have, or did y'all just say, okay, let's just ask for $25 more, because maybe it should be more?
Go ahead, Judge.
I can tell you where I started with this, and they did that as well, but where I started with this was I always go back to the CPI, the inflation index, and I always go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and go, okay, was it, what, 85?
80.
$80 a day. So $80 a day 12 years ago, I'll go do it right now while we're doing this. So I'm going to go to 80. 12 years ago would be to 114.35 would be that in today's numbers. And so then so I'm just letting you know kind of where I started it and me trying to figure out what would be the appropriate numbers for there. And then obviously they did their part.
And part of it, ma'am, is it's really hard when we get scheduled to work a court. We look at it as we're going to be there 8 hours plus. Sometimes we're there to lunch. Sometimes we're there to 6:30. There's a trial going on this week that I'm a part of. They normally like trials. Jurors don't want to come in on Saturdays. I get it. So they normally, if at all possible, try to conclude a trial within a week. I've been scheduled for a 2-week trial, and come Thursday morning, they came in and both pled. So, but what we look at, if you look at 8 hours a day, for instance, just use the classic 8 hours, it'd be, what we're asking for is a little bit, $15 and some change is what it works out to be now.
But is that appropriate? You understand what I'm saying?
It
The
is,
job that
we-
you
we-
do is valuable.
Yes, ma'am, we feel as though that if you are gracious enough to approve the rate that Judge Thacker has included in his presentation, we feel as though that is a fair rate for what we do, and it's not one that come next year, we're gonna be asking for a COLA. We feel that's a sustainable rate for several years. In fact, the judge and I were talking about that we even feel as though it shouldn't come up for review, but maybe every 4 years or so come up for, we're not trying to be greedy, ma'am.
No, you totally, if that's what you think where I'm going to,
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
totally misreading what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is that the job that you're doing is valuable.
Yes, ma'am.
And the same money that you was making 12 years ago, you can't buy a loaf of bread with
No,
now.
ma'am, you can't.
So we looked at our pay across and we recognized that we were here and the market was here. What I'm saying to you is that you shouldn't sell yourself short. You should have the numbers that reflect what it is a bailiff is getting paid in the same category. Not that you're coming back, only that you're making an equitable amount of money. So you don't, when you say you're coming to me and coming to us and asking for just a small raise, you don't got to do that. You like everybody else. They be wanting more money because it costs more to live. You deserve to have the same benefit, but based on what people in the regular market is getting paid. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm trying to drill you down in these numbers, because I think you kind of
Right, I
screwing
understand what you're saying,
yourself.
and looking at comparable size counties and courts, we feel as though that the 125 would be a fair rate based on what other counties are paying for the similar court and similar amount of bailiffs. Currently, we have 15 bailiffs, 14, we've got one vacancy. What we're gonna try to do is, rather than hire additional staff when the new state court judge, when that judge comes on board, is we're gonna try to use existing staff before we grow that number, and to see if we can sustain the court in working with what we have, rather than saying we're gonna hire 5 additional people. And that would still work out to be about a budget that I got, roughly about $11,000 a year per bailiff, is what it
So
would
this
work
is
out
for
to be.
judge.
Ma'am,
So this is for the judge. So you're saying that in your conversations with them, you don't want them to be regarded when everyone else gets a cost of living increase every year?
So they can, so the grand jury reviews that every fall. So every September, the grand jury does review that. We were trying to be very careful in asking for money and trying to say, we're not asking for this and then the next one. But obviously, I don't ever appear in front of the grand jury. That's not the state court and the grand jury never interact. And so obviously, if the grand jury next year recommends an increase, then that's what the grand jury recommends.
And-
So yeah, no qualms about that. But what I'm saying to you is that, and Steve, maybe you can help me understand this. If our regular employees get a cost of living increase of 2.5% next year, does that mean that our part-time employees, do they also get a 2% cost of living?
Yes, ma'am, they do.
So that being said, you're being paid by county money. There is no reason why you should not be subject to the cost of
Now I'm
living
tracking
increase.
you.
yes, ma'am, I understand now,
Okay,
too.
so that's where I'm trying to get at. We should not be doing a different thing. That's how, part of why you're so far behind. So this, and for me, saying that you should come back every 4 years, you can't pay your bills like that. Nobody lives,
But what we can do, ma'am, is, the district attorney's office usually does the grand jury presentments. We work very closely with them. We can mention it to, District Attorney Broder and have her present it to the grand jury and see if the grand jury has a suggestion.
'Cause
Would that be sufficient?
The state law requires that the grand jury actually makes that recommendation for
and
your
I
approval.
don't have any problem with it, but if the grand jury knows that everybody else got a 2% pay raise,
Right.
they should know to figure that in
Sure.
to whatever it is that they're asking for the next year for your salary.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, it may not be the difference in what you're asking for now, but it will keep you from being compressed in your pay, and you can keep pace.
Yes, this all makes sense.
Right.
And I appreciate your willingness to say we need to talk long-term, because I've been so busy on trying to just get them into a place. I honestly have not thought as forward as you're thinking of what's next. And love the fact that you have, but you're ahead of me and I like that, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I wanted to.
All right,
get
what's the
some
bottom line
understanding.
number?
We're looking at a budget, we have never had a budget, Chairman. So I'm just going by figures. I'm looking at, and currently right now, the sheriff's office furnishes us uniforms graciously out of their budget. So if we reincorporate that back into the budget, I'm looking at roughly 185 annually. That would be uniforms, that would be the salaries of the bailiffs, and that's giving a little bit of contingency. As I said, the days or that worked, they fluctuate, and that's just basing on an average. We did 100 in 2024. Now they just gave me calendar years. I apologize, they didn't give me fiscal years, but in calendar year 24, the total was 104,000. Projected this year is based on current rate through August would be 110. Now that's at the current rate now. If we go with a salary increase, then that would be about an additional 62, which would roughly bring it to about 178. And then I'm throwing some in for uniforms to bring it up to 185. What my proposal is.
All right, how does that work on your budget?
We can absorb that amount. You're talking delta of roughly $10,000 a year for this increase for the remainder of the year. So there's not an issue here.
Can we make sure that they do have a budget for their stuff?
Absolutely, and I think that's what Dwayne was just discussing when they were moving over to 2510, or is that 2500?
2150 Superior Court.
They will have their own line item
Okay.
that we can manage year over year, which is the right thing for us to do.
Absolutely.
One of the additional things that Erica and I were talking about was building out a model so that we know exactly what like-sized counties, like-sized courts, like-sized case management is for the bailiffs, so that we can present that back to the group for their consideration.
Yeah, I
When
think
do
it's
you want this to
important
go
for us
into
not-
effect?
This would go into effect upon your approval this evening.
Okay,
I think that's what it says
I have one
immediately.
more thing I want to add, which is Ed Loper is in the back. Ed saved me because I was the IT guy for Superior Court until Ed said, well, you know, I know a thing or two about IT. And so when their systems would blink, they would call me and I would come up and fix it. And now I don't have to do that because Ed has it covered. So although he's not IT anything, he's a bailiff, he has been covering their IT, and I'm so grateful to Ed for
Does a great
saving
job.
me.
Good job.
okay.
Yes, anyway.
All right, any questions before we vote tonight?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, thank you
Now,
all.
I want me to come back tonight. Do you all want me to come back tonight?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm good.
I've got all my
wife will
questions
love to hear
answered.
that. I will tell her that. So, all right, bye, y'all.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you so much.
All right, bye.
Thank you bailiffs for what you do on a routine basis.
Yes.
It will take your cell phone if it goes off in court, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, they be looking at you
No,
hard.
not to me.
if your phone
I've
go
just
off.
witnessed it to other people.
They do.
All right, item number 7, discussion to declare vehicle and equipment as surplus. I'd like to bring back Mr. T.J. Imberger, Director of Parks,
Doctor.
Public Grounds, to walk us through this discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I present to you the list that was included in your packet to declare all these items surplus and to be sold accordingly.
And the big question we had between last time and this time is,
The funds will be returned to the fund balance, as indicated.
I wanted to make sure publicly,
Don't y'all be trying to talk about me while I'm sitting right here. At some point, we need to really talk about this. We need to talk about it because TJ's department is one department. Now, he is very good about economizing. I have to give him that. But the same way, I think just when talking, there should be a supplemental budget that this money, when someone turns money back in, like when they get money from the animal control, there should be that budget so that those people who do generate money back into it have the ability to get it without the question of we're not helping everybody else, because everybody doesn't. Some people don't generate any turnaround money. So not that I was being preemptive and screaming at TJ and telling him he ain't supposed to get the money, but I'm looking at it a little bit different, because there's only really two departments that really do that, and then maybe even leisure services. I don't know to what extent, but I just think that maybe, and I know we don't have a supplemental fund now, but maybe that's a name that that money can go in, so that, you know, I need to do something, well, there is $10,000, or there's $50,000 in the supplemental fund to do an extra thing.
Yes, ma'am. Our ordinance actually calls for a capital improvement program fund. And that will be a part of next year's budget process, that we will actually stand up a capital improvement program fund that these funds will be moved into moving forward, so we can do exactly what you just described.
Okay, I'll be here next year, I think, I'll see if it works.
All right, any questions on that one for the salvage and everything else? All right,
So it looks good.
thank you. Discussion of local bridge replacement projects. I'd like to keep TJ Imberger to walk us through this discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. GDOT's Low Impact Bridge Replacement Program has identified the bridge on Manley Road over the Heads Creek for replacement. We would be requesting $100,000 as our share of this replacement, and GDOT would cover all the additional costs. I would estimate that to be around, I don't have the exact number, but typically it's about 1.5 million.
So over the past, maybe you can remember, I know we had a big list of bridges that we had to discern whether they were good and bad. How many bridges have we had replaced maybe in the last 10 years?
10 years, we're probably between 8 and 12.
And we've been doing a pretty good job. Of course, we had already let them get in bad shape too, but that's a pretty good movement.
Yes, ma'am. These off-system bridge replacement programs that GDOT puts together for us, we average, 3 bridges every couple of years or
Yes,
so?
sir, that's correct.
And they are really good at managing the projects for us, because they'll come in and take care of it. You know, I'm gonna call TJ out. He's gonna get a little upset with me, I guess, but his team did such a great job on Moon Road
Yes, sir.
that GDOT actually took it off of the replacement program. We had some issues with Moon Road, or I don't know if you remember, but last year we had some issues with Moon Road where turbidity had eaten away at the bottom of the bridge. And TJ's team went in and did all of the work in-house and did such a great job that GDOT took it off the program. So TJ's doing great work. And you're exactly right. The bridges are worn out before they put them on the replacement program. But I'm happy to say that it looks like Manley Road's next on the list, and it desperately needs to be replaced.
Was Moon Road a dirt road?
It's not. No,
Okay.
ma'am.
And you did that off of north of Sun City on a bridge.
Yes, sir, we did that
Came
one
and
as
had the
well,
exact same
in-house.
situation, fixed that, and they took it off and said, "Hey, this is so good." Yeah, that's
We
well done.
maintain all of our bridges, which is upwards of 80 to 90. We have a bridge crew that does that in-house.
We have one of the best crews in the state that's able to do that kind of work for us, and that's very
Cool.
commendable.
All right, any questions about this one?
So TJ, where's your match money coming from? Out of your transportation budget?
County manager indicates yes.
Okay, that's all then.
Okay. Item number 9, discussion of resurfacing Janet and Swint roads in Orchard Hill.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, as part of our current T-Splost, we had dedicated some funding for the city of Orchard Hill. Both of these roads are inside of the city of Orchard Hill, and that would be included in the existing T-Splost funding.
Now, if you remember, I'll make sure we're all talking off the same sheet. When we did the T-Splosh, we had the roads here, and then we had stuff that we gave to really and truly the city of Orchard Hill and to Sunnyside, and said, this is separate money for you all. We pulled it right off the top of our business to be able to do that. So this is not anything we're trying to bring up new or trying to move some money around to do.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Exhibit A on the left-hand side of your screen indicates that that Orchard Hill had been designated for $300,000 worth of funding for resurfacing of roads. To date, Macon Road, a portion of Macon Road, just that portion that's inside the city, was $178,988.41. John Jones Road, which was resurfaced in 2022 under the T-Splosh program, was $140,541. The requested investment for Janet in Swint, the cost for that is $198,549.55 for a total investment of $518,078.96. The increase in cost for resurfacing roads over the last 4 years has been significant.
No, 45%.
That's correct, yes, ma'am. So this will far exceed the indication from the 22 T-Splosh program of 300,000. This will exceed by a little bit, but it actually satisfies the requirements of us partnering with our friends and neighbors down in Orchard Hill.
All right, how much is a little bit?
$200,000.
We can't really help that just because it's the same thing has happened to us. We estimated that we were gonna be at one number and.
That is
By the
correct.
time
Now,
we got to doing it-
we are getting a little bit of a break for mobilization. We did not have to pay for mobilization this year because Snell is already in the county doing the work. TJ and Kevin King have done a great job at making sure that they have coordinated with Snell to get the task order forms complete and putting this work together for Swint and Janet Road, and getting them in a position where we can finalize this resurfacing before the end of the season. And we're coming up real quick on the end of the season simply because of the change in weather. If you don't believe me, go outside. It's a little bit chilly this evening. So, good work by TJ and Kevin. So thank you, guys.
All right, so another $200,000.
Well, no, it's already in there. The money is available. This is a part of what Commissioner Flowers Taylor was discussing earlier. We have had a little bit of overage in what we expected to come in for our T-Splosh, and that's what is going to satisfy this requirement.
Because we can use excess funds for other existing projects in that same spot.
That is correct, but these are not other existing projects. These projects were actually in play per the City of
Okay.
Orchard Hill.
Okay.
It's just that the increased cost of resurfacing and striping has been a little bit more for Orchard Hill than was expected.
All right, so we said we were gonna do this much money, and in fact, we saved money. We're gonna take what we would call the savings of that over to do
That is
this.
correct. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. All right, any questions or comments about this with them? All right, thank you. Item number 10, discussion for first reading of the Part 7 courts. Ms. Wyndham?
I don't believe this will be ready for a first reading, tonight, Mr. Chairman. I think that should come at our next meeting. But the courts is, y'all had, the version with my comments and also the current version. I'm even making notes as Judge Thacker was speaking, though. I need to, we don't mention bailiffs in the Superior Court section. We need to include bailiffs. And we also need to change the language of bailiffs in the state court, because that is not, the way that we set it out is not actually how it's happening. We set it out that the state court judge can appoint bailiffs, and that is not occurring. They're now housed where exactly? I'm still not sure.
Superior Court.
In Superior Court?
Is that Judge Thacker's court?
No,
ma'am,
Judge
that's,
Thacker's state court. That's Judge Ballard's
Judge
court.
Ballard, Scott Ballard.
Courts, plural.
I was wondering why I didn't see anything on bailiffs in here,
Yeah,
especially after we got that other.
Bailiffs are mentioned in state court, but not in Superior Court. And this needs to be updated to reflect several things that have changed. One is there's now the 5th judge for the Griffin Judicial Circuit Superior Court. There's the 2nd state court judge, And probably the thing that I need for y'all to consider and guide me the most on is, the updates to reflect the new Georgia law regarding Superior Court judge compensation. I had, the, deputy county manager send me some information about longevity pay, I'm sorry, not longevity pay, locality pay for our Superior Court judges, and it does not appear that we are providing Superior Court judge locality pay or,
Any supplement?
supplements.
Yes.
And
We're not paying them any supplement?
No, I don't believe so.
we're paying, court reporters and a legal transcriber. And the ordinance needs to
But not a
reflect,
supplement, right? We're paying a supplement to the court reporter and what'd you say, the legal transcriber?
legal transcriber. And that needs to be, adjusted to reflect what just happened a couple of months ago when you actually, entered into a joint resolution with Fayette, Pike, and Upson to increase those pay scales for the court reporters. So a lot of things have happened in
Yes,
the
we did.
very recent, past regarding our courts, Superior Court and State Court, but there's,
Stephanie, what is the crux of the new legislation?
the
in
new
terms of-
legislation provides that,
You gotta be a choice.
it provides the Superior Court judges with a choice, of which I believe ours would, definitely want to choose to go with the state, recommended salary. But I don't know that they have the option, and they don't have to tell us what option they selected, because it doesn't really affect Spalding County in that we're not providing any locality pay or supplements. The annual salary will be paid by the Council of Superior Court Judges of Georgia in 12 equal monthly installments. And I think that's what's the most important thing for the counties with this legislation, because it takes any ability, of the counties to adjust any salaries for,
So, but they're gonna be paid by the state?
yes.
So how do we get involved in that? I don't-
Well, here's how, and we only have one situation, but we dodged a bullet in that we could have had multiple situations where this was the problem. There are a lot of counties that have various salaries tied to that of Superior Court judges. And when we were looking at tying your salary, the judge's salary, the magistrate court, the coroner, like everybody and their brother's salaries to Superior Court judge salaries that we would have no control over setting, that's why I was saying, waving my hand and saying this is not a good idea. And the legislature agreed with me that it was not a good idea. In fact, it allows counties a grace period, basically. So what will happen is the state court judge and the state court solicitor, which are actually the only two that we have tied to Superior Court judge salaries, they will stay the same for 2 years, and which is what the legislature deems time enough for counties to undo those particular items that are tied to Superior Court judge salaries. And so that's something that we need to look at and consider as to whether or not you want to continue to tie those two salaries to Superior Court judge salaries, just given the fact that that court is also growing, and this is something that we will never have control over.
But right now, we have the ability within 2 years
That's right.
to request that become the case, that we separate those two offices from the Superior Court.
Yes, which in my opinion takes a little more study and a lot more checking out what other state courts in our area are doing and what their plans are as well, if they plan to make any changes. Because it's not an easy thing to ask you to set those salaries, and it's not something that you've had to do in the past. So we want to make sure that they're fair and just, and that they're comparable. And figuring that out is not something that I can actually do. That's something that you will have to look at and review.
To make an additional challenge for this ordinance that's coming before you, I just received an email from Fayette County to attempt to enhance the financial and personal administration within the Griffin Judicial Circuit. We have collaborated with with Dr. Will Simmons and Chief Judge Ballard to develop an intergovernmental agreement, and they've asked us to please review a draft IGA for funding and personnel administration of the Griffin Judicial Circuit. So I just received this while I was sitting here.
So is this for their staff or
This is for their,
administrative assistants and law
it's for
clerks? or-
judges and administrative staff.
Bottom line for us, we'll table this for tonight.
Yeah,
This is,
needs more talk about this.
yes, all right.
But
Uh,
now probate court, easy. We could do that tonight, but I would rather do all courts
Yes.
together. Magistrate court, we have, absolutely no reason to, and I think I've mentioned this to y'all before, to have a separate section for small claims court and magistrate court. They are one and the same, and they should, be included together. So, some of the consolidation is very, very easy. Some of it, the law clerk that was assisting me with this, you'll see some of his comments, and he was comparing salaries based on the ACCG salary guide as well as what other counties were doing. So, there are some things that are easy updates, but then there are a couple of things that are, a little more detailed and things that we're gonna have to get in the weeds on.
Yeah, and this is a big decision for us, giving up or not giving up and all that business. All right, we all square with this, table this tonight, okay? Next item, I'd like to enter into an executive session for the following purpose: discuss or deliberation regarding personnel matters, including appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee as authorized under OCGA 5014-3B2. Discussion or deliberation of acquisition of real estate as authorized under OCGA 5014-3B4. And consultation with legal counsel regarding pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, or other legal matters as authorized under OCGA 5014-2-1. Do I have a motion?
Motion to go in, executive session for the four reasons.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 4-0. We will go into executive session, then we will come out and close this session out.
but yeah, I just been bringing my own laptop.
Yep, yep,
Are we back?
just,
Think so. I signed it.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to come out of executive session.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 4-0, we're out of executive session.
And Mr.
Do I
Chairman,
have-
since there is no additional business to be handled, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. And we've got a couple proclamations and stuff tonight, so everybody.
Turn the mics off.
Lights off.